Back to a great day on this Friday, the 4th day of April. We welcome to our desk right now somebody that just spoke at the Blank Park Zoo, the conservation series going on now at the Blank Park Zoo. And man, the topics they have are absolutely fascinating. Jonathan Slaght is here. This man knows his tigers inside and out. Explain your background for us, if you would.
Sure. I've been going to the Russian Far East for about 20 years, and I've been involved in tiger conservation for about 13 years.
Wow.
My preference is birds, but I've been doing a lot of tiger research too on the side.
How did you go from birds to tigers?
Well, I've found that it's impossible to do any kind of conservation in the southern Russian Far East without being somehow involved in tigers.
And you're saying, okay, why Russian? Why are you so interested in Russian?
Well, I first went to Russia in the mid-90s. My dad was a U.S. diplomat based in Moscow, and just kind of tangentially went out to the Russian Far East and immediately fell in love. Just the forests, the wildlife. It's a unique place.
What's it like, if you could paint a picture in our heads, because a lot of us aren't familiar with it at all?
Yeah, I've never been to Northern California, but my graduate advisor says that the coast is very similar. So, stunning cliffs, nice beaches, just wonderful forest. The wildlife is absolutely unique. It's the only place in the world where tigers and brown bears share the same forests.
Wow.
They share the forest.
And they do interact, and they do kill each other periodically.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
It's a fascinating place.
Wow. Now, the animals we're talking about, of course, are one of the most beautiful creatures on the planet. My surface has some photos of some of the tigers over at the Blank Park Zoo, and these things are incredible beasts.
Yeah.
And
now, people that are friends of the zoo might have seen you this summer as part of that big conservation series that they had out there this summer. They wanted you to come back because of the things you were saying. What were you talking about last night?
I was talking about, in general, tigers in Russia, and specifically the work that my organization, the Wildlife Conservation Society, does to protect them. So we're heavily involved in anti-poaching work. We're working with nature reserves to improve the efficiency of how they're protecting their lands. We're working with human-tiger conflicts. So anytime a tiger goes into a village to eat dogs or something, we have a team who's ready to move in and quickly resolve the situation.
Now, when you resolve the situation, you just relocate the tigers then?
Sometimes it depends. Sometimes we just let things happen. If it looks like the animal has moved on, we won't do anything.
Okay.
If it looks like if the tiger keeps coming back in to kill dogs, then sometimes we'll catch the tiger and assess why it's behaving in that way. If it's typically it's a young animal who's just dispersing, and dogs are really easy to catch, so they kind of come into these villages and start attacking dogs. If that's the case, then yes, they're relocated somewhere else. If they're old or they have some kind of injury that they can't recover from, then they're kept in captivity.
A potentially stupid question, but how much of a threat are the tigers to humans?
In situations like that, where the tigers are coming into villages, it is a problem. If a tiger is in a village and someone goes out to the outhouse, for example, that can be deadly.
Yeah.
And it's also, as far for conservation, having local support is really important. So if locals are afraid of tigers, that's a problem.
I think every conservation expert we've had on the show has said the same thing. You've got to get the local people to understand the situation and get involved. And they're just people living their lives, trying to feed their kids and heat their homes and whatever, know.
So now, Siberian tigers, how big of an effort is needed? Is this a dire situation when it comes to the conservation efforts?
I think for all tigers it is. About 100 years ago, there were thought to be about 100,000 tigers in the wild, and that's down to 3,500. So
3,500?
Yeah, so a 96.5% decrease in just 100 years.
And the main reason for that is?
Hunting, poaching, habitat loss. Amur or Siberian tiger numbers are about 350 right now, and the goal is about 600, 650.
Can you, with 350, did they have enough genetic diversity to survive and breed and all that?
They do. The Amur tigers have very, very, very large home ranges. So, for example, a female Amur tiger has a home range, it's about 150 square miles, whereas a Bengal tiger, it's only 7.5 square miles. So they require a lot of area, and there's only so much space that tigers can go in Russia. So
I see, before it gets too cold or...
Right, so about capacity would be about 650.
And of all the tigers, is the Amur the most endangered, or?
No, there are some of the ones in Southeast Asia are more endangered.
And that's probably more of a habitat situation.
Yeah, the habitat is extremely fragmented in Southeast Asia, whereas if you look at a map of tiger range globally, in Russia it's one giant patch of intact, unfragmented habitat.
And are we still dealing with people boiling their body parts for healing, you know, stuff like that? Is that a big problem?
That doesn't really. I mean, that doesn't happen in Russia. But there is a market for that type of thing in Asia, and so recently there has been an uptick in poaching with greater interest for the Asian market.
Well, we love that you were able to make it back to the area to speak on the conservation tour last night. Is there anything you were able to tell people last night, or you could tell this morning, that we can do in an effort towards helping out the tigers?
Well, I honestly support places like the Blank Park Zoo. The Blank Park Zoo is part of a program called the Tiger Conservation Campaign, which is a coalition of a bunch of different zoos that channel money directly to not just our research in Russia, but into for other tiger subspecies too. And so that just going to the zoo and attending events like the Asia series that happened last night that's a very, very easy way.
Yeah, but when you see animals that are this beautiful, you have to realize, again, this is a treasure, and we're about ready to lose it if we don't pay attention to what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. There's my boss said something once that's really resonated with me. It's T is for tiger, and it's culturally, as humans,
that's really good.
We have a very, very cultural, very deep cultural connection to tigers, and losing tigers would just be, as humans, would just be terrible.
What would happen if that? Sorry, what would happen if that would ever occur?
What would I mean?
They're done.
Yeah, I just think it would be really sad for humans as a species that we couldn't hold on to this.
That we couldn't figure out
symbol
how to
of wilderness. Yeah.
preserve them. How likely is a scenario where we get to a point where the only tigers left are the ones that are in zoos and breeding there?
Well, at least in Russia, I think there's a very good chance for species recovery. Given that
for recovery.
Yeah, given the low human population density, given the giant swath of suitable tiger habitat. With appropriate laws and with appropriate protection, I think we have reason for optimism.
Can they live, humans and tigers, in the same range with relatively little danger to humans? Is there a way for that to happen, or is that
absolutely? Especially in Russia, the Amur tigers, for the most part, avoid humans, and it's not.
What do people in Russia think about all this?
It depends. I mean, people in cities typically tend to like tigers, and people in smaller villages where it's the greater connection tend to not like tigers as much. Hunters tend to feel that tigers are competing with them for deer when they hunt. And so we need to do a better job with education in local populations.
Okay.
All right, well, hopefully this helped a little bit in getting the word out.
Yeah, yeah.
That these things are very important.
All right, now tell everybody to have a great day in Russian.
Oh,
yeah, look at the camera and
right here,
right over here, and say, "Have a great day." We'll be right back.
Желаю вам хорошего дня.
Easy for him to
Never
say.
happened here before.
We'll be right
Thank
back.
you so much.
Thank you very much. That was really good.